welcome to the chat this fine morning. Let's get this early morning boxing talk going. My man, Dwayne Jones in the building said, blessings up from Atlanta, Brother Martin. And shout out to Adrian Vent. Not sure why he's not here already. He usually has something up in the morning. So to say what's up to my man Adrian Vent, like I always do, usually the first, second person in the building. MJ Jamandry, one thing only. If Spence can't do anything to hurt Manny come fight night, he's done. Yeah, I'm sure he can do something to hurt Manny. It's called punch him in his face, hit him to the body. Errol Spence Jr. definitely has the power to hurt you, man. Brian Powell said, according to a common opponent, Danny Garcia said, Thurman hits harder than Spence and has better skills than Spence. Well, he lost to both of them, so I don't know what that measurement is going to do. Errol Spence Jr. beat him like every round, and I think that there was a whole second half of the fight that Danny Garcia, because Danny Garcia thought he won that Sean Porter fight. I mean, thought he won the Keith Thurman fight, but I never heard him say he thought he won the Danny Garcia fight. So I'm not quite sure where that comes from, man. Kent Powell said, who is today's Muhammad Ali, the people's champs, or do we have one? I don't think we have one. Boxing is different than back when Muhammad Ali was fighting. Now we got, 14 million belts. There was 2 when he was fighting. Now there's twice as many belts and 3 times as many championships. Oh, man, maybe 4, because now they got the sanctioning bodies. They got twice as many sanctioning bodies, and they've got 3 times as many belts for the same weight classes. So the whole system of a champion is absolutely ruined, in my opinion. Rick Blackwell in the building. What's going on, man? Salute to you, Mr. Blackwell. Terry Schmoot says, salute, family. Viva tu Vita. Salute, Martin, in the chat. Good morning, everyone. Bomb Squad man down. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm not going to listen to this FUD. This fight is going to happen. If it don't, not worth me getting hella mad for something that, dude, then why are you here, man? Like, seriously, man, we're talking about boxing. That's what the purpose is. We're talking about what's going on in boxing. Did nobody ask you to get hella mad? So, but what is happening is that there's a lawsuit. Manny Pacquiao's getting sued. And he's getting sued for breach of contract related to this fight by Paradigm Management. And that has a potential to hold up the fight. I don't think that it is I don't think that is high likelihood of it, because it seems like Manny Pacquiao probably has his bases covered. Truth be told, said there simply is not another Ali. Next question. Yeah, it's going to be really tough on that ever being the case, man. Good. Hey, top of the morning to my man Derek Lincoln. Twice, man. Salute to you. Oh, you said, yeah. Patrick Smith, Fannon Don, good morning. Good morning to you. And Daniel Gallimore, top of the morning to you as well. And everybody else that came into the chat. So basically, by the way, the first topic that we talk about, that's the title topic. And if you have questions about it, we can have questions about it. But also feel free to ask me any question related to boxing at all during the conversation. We can skip around topics. We're not set necessarily on one topic, for a morning boxing talk. So if you want to talk about something relating to anybody, please put the comment in the section. Put the comment in the comment section. Put what's going on, man. I decided to say you sleeping late today. What's going on, Adrian? I was like, man, where's Adrian Vent? It's like, what happened, man? What's up, Fanana Dunn? Salute to you, sir. Yeah. So yeah, look, dude, there's this lawsuit that was filed by Paradigm Sports, and the gist of it is that Manny Pacquiao was in a negotiation with them for the Mikey Garcia fight. And the Mikey Garcia, they said they supposed to had found somebody in in the Middle East to pay for the fight, right? But then in the middle of the negotiation, Manny Pacquiao leaves out and signs up for a fight with Errol Spence Jr. Ananda, I say Fannon, it's always crazy because I can't say good morning because it's 5:15 in South Africa. Great seeing you, Fannon. Hey, that's what's up, man. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got to get yeah, that's wild. Coffee got beat this weekend. That's Maurice Daniels said, time to rise and shine. May God continue to bless you, brother Fannon. Thank you, man. And may God continue to bless you as well. Man, see, this stuff with, yeah, Rice, yeah, I saw that, man. He said, Fannon, Johnny Rice schooled him. Look, isn't he one of those converted football players, John Coffey? Those converted football players don't really make it, man. That's one of the reasons I think that I was originally not as big on Wilder, is because I had considered him to be a transition football player, but he transitioned and he made the transition to boxing really well. But other guys didn't. Ex-military, that's what's up. Oh, he's ex-military. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right, so I thought it was, okay. Yeah, I knew he came from another profession. Southern T Boxing talk. Southern T Boxing and Sports. What's good, OG? Nothing much, just talking this boxing, waiting for people to ask questions in the comment section. Come on, man, with the questions in the comment section, man. It makes the conversation more, looks like life is hazing me. Man, life is good as shit to me. I can't complain, dude. You kidding me? Life is wonderful to me. But everybody gets hazed, man. Porter played football, yeah. Hey, man, thanks for your observation, dude. It's just early in the morning. I'm good. I don't know why I look too tired. I'm not too tired. Yeah, smash the like button on the way in. Let me hit this real quick. Let me see from out here. Okay, cool. Yeah, man, smash the like button. We got 123 people in the building. We only got 37 likes. Let's hit that like, man. Said it's 8 in the morning. It's 8 in the morning. Yeah, I don't know where you're from, man, but it's 8 in the morning. Yeah, Porter, Sean, and Devin all played high school football. Yeah, but that's different from playing high school football to being somebody that people that were in the boxing gym. Because I know Sean Porter always was in the boxing gym, man. That's going. First question of the day. Thank you, man. Mo City Menace said, Fannon, do you think Keith Thurman fighting Tank is a bad look for Keith? I think that it would be a bad look for both of them, really. But I think that would be a bad list. I don't see that happening. But Keith Thurman fighting somebody that moves up into his weight class and is campaigning in his weight class, I mean, I don't necessarily think it'd be a bad look for him because, he's fighting somebody that's coming up there to challenge him. If Gervonta Davis wants to move up to 147 pounds, I don't think that there should be any problem with him fighting somebody that moved all the way up to 140 pounds, moved up to 147 pounds. But I think it's a bad look for boxing in general, because if guys are going to be fighting in different weight classes, strip the guys of the belts that they have in the weight classes that they're not defending. Because if he's moving up to 147, he's not defending that 130 pound belt. And which is pretty much the only belt that they have. Gregory X in the building, man. I didn't know you were in Gambia. Shout out to Gambia. Aaron Patrick said, do you believe Sean Porter not wanting the Terrence Crawford fight? Thank you for non-international. Thank you. Thank you. No, I do not believe that. I think he said it looked like he He said it was a pleasant surprise for him, and he had been asking for the fight. So I'm not sure why he wouldn't want that fight. Hey man, we got 136 people, man. Let's get the likes up over 100. That would be great. Thank you. Todd Swindle, what do you think about Thurman begging for fights? Keep begging till he gets one. I don't know how else he's gonna earn a living if he don't try to get those fights. Keith Thurman deserves. First of all, Keith Thurman deserves those fights. Keith Thurman is all the mouthpiece stuff aside, and sometimes some people don't believe that he was injured. Other people think that he was injured, but he's done enough in his career to deserve another title shot. He was a former undisputed champion, and he got injured, and he deserves another one, man. I think that he needs to ask for those fights and needs to be talking about those fights. Now, if you're talking about Errol Spence Jr., dude, I'm kind of more on Sean Porter on Keith Thurman's side than Errol Spence Jr. in that regard, because it's like, if you're going to fight if you give Sean Porter a fight, provided he doesn't just up and leave the weight class, but if he gives Sean Porter a fight, if he's given Danny Garcia a fight, then I don't see why he shouldn't give Keith Thurman a fight. Now, I know that he's in strap season mode, but at the same time, man, I definitely believe that, man, let me get Gregory X. Sorry, Gregory X. I know you got a moderatorship right there. Let me get your moderator back, Gregory X. Yeah, so yeah, I just think that he deserves a fight, and I love to see him get the fights. I don't really like Errol Spence Jr.'s attitude on Keith Thurman, not at this point, because it's like, I don't know, it's kind of hypocritical for you to do the same thing that somebody else did. Keith Thurman, Errol Spence knows that he deserved the shot against Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman didn't give it to him, but that didn't prevent Errol Spence from getting his shot and getting his belt. He got the IBF belt. He might have had to take a little bit harder route to get there than he would have than if Keith Thurman had given him the fight. But that's kind of my take on that, man. Oh, yeah, I definitely think that's the thing for him to fight. Shazan Jefferson said, hey, Fannon, Thurman should just fight Ugas. Yeah, if he can get the fight with Ugas, I think he should fight with Ugas. And I think he deserves the belt with, I think he deserves the belt with Ugas, the fight with Ugas. I think he's got to get himself in the position to be a mandatory. So he's probably going to have to take another fight. Because I don't think he's even had a fight since he fought Manny Pacquiao. So first things first, he's got to get himself back and fight somebody so that he can get a mandatory position. Gene Samuel said, why did Keith pass on the Ugas fight? I didn't hear that he passed on the Ugas fight. That's something new to me. If he did pass on the Ugas fight, like I said, that's news to me. I thought that he was trying to get the Errol Spence Jr. fight. I never heard him trying to get to the Ugas fight. Skinny Kenny said, let me check out something. The Skinny Kenny. Georgia, I got Georgia Peach here. Georgia Peach, here's your moderatorship back, Georgia, so I can see over on this one. Hey, we got 170 people in the building. We got 79 likes. Can we get the likes up? Let me go back over here. What's going on, Angie Wise Fool? In the business. Ugas passed on him. Ugas ducked everybody till Ugas ducking everybody till after Pac versus Errol. Yeah, and that's the first time that I heard that he passed on him. But you know what it is. Enrique Hawkins said Keith did this to Spence So what goes around comes around. Yeah, I understand what comes around goes around, but does that mean he's gonna do it? He's not gonna do that to anybody else but Keith Thurman. I mean, how about Keith Thurman? Keith Thurman got ducked by Errol, by Floyd Mayweather. So what goes around? So it's gonna just keep going around. I don't like it. Now, like I said, I understand. I know the tables will turn. Oh, said the tables will turn. Yeah, I know the tables turn, and I understand why he's doing it. I just don't like it. Because I don't see how that benefits boxing fans. To have a really good fight sitting there that we know could be made, and for somebody not to make it just because they got a personal hang up with somebody, I don't really like that. But like I said, that's not my decision. That's Errol Spence's decision, and Errol definitely got done wrong by Keith Thurman. But he also got done wrong by Danny Garcia. He got done wrong by Sean Porter, and that didn't keep him from fighting Sean Porter. Sean Porter also ducked him. Sean Porter only ducked him for a fight, man. Absolutely does. Keith Thurman deserves a championship fight. Yeah, I think he does. He's definitely done what he needs to do to get it. Enrique Hawkins said, "You right, but we can't be mad at Spence." Oh, I'm not mad at Spence. Don't get it twisted. I ain't mad at Spence at all. I ain't mad. That's what it is. I mean, hey, you do some stupid shit to people. And see, here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. I'm going to get to Cale Beverly's comment in 1 second. Keep that on there. I can't be mad at him. I understand where he's coming from. My only thing is just I don't see that doesn't benefit me as a boxing fan, because they have a bunch of really good welterweights, and Errol Spence has been in a bunch of fights. If Errol Spence beats Manny Pacquiao and beats Keith Thurman, beats Errol Spence, I mean, dude, that guy's going to the Hall of Fame off of that, doing all that heavy lifting at 147. Cale Beverly said, it's going around for Ennis. They are ducking him the same way they ducked Errol Spence. Speak on it. Hey, I don't know for sure if they're ducking him yet because it's so early in his career, but they definitely ain't got no interest in fighting him. That whole crop of them dudes are all gonna leave before they fight Jaron Ennis. The interesting thing is gonna be whether or not Josh Taylor, when he moves up to 147, and Virgil Ortiz, those guys. The interesting thing for me is going to be those guys at 147 pounds, because I mean, most of the big guys at 147, they're almost done, man. They're like to the point where they've got a couple years left in the game. Sean Porter may have 3 fights left, I think, even though he looks really fresh, but really you can see that he's making his plans to do something other than do something other than box, which is to be in the commentating booth. Keith Thurman, his body is already broken down. Keith Thurman may have 4 fights left in him. I think it's going to be tough unless Jaron Ennis gets to be a mandatory and these guys have a belt, or Jaron Ennis gets the belt and they know that they have to fight him for a championship. And I think probably the belts are going to open up for him when Errol Spence Jr. moves up to 154 and drops 2 of the belts. The Yordanis Ugas fight, I think he need to be making himself a mandatory. Let me see 1 second. Let me see something. I'm going to see what the... Yeah, I'm looking at the IBF rankings. Yeah, he's number 4 in the rankings of the IBF. That's going to be his best shot. Behind Manny Pacquiao, Sean Porter, and Abu Karov. So one of his best bets, Let me see. Yeah, I think his best bet is going to be to be the mandatory for these guys. Do. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, I'm almost back. Because he's number 4 in the IBF. We don't care about the ring. Okay, so he's number 4. He's the 4 in the IBF, number 6 in the WBO, number 7 in the WBC. He's ranked across the board. Everything except the WBA. He's ranked in everything except the IBA. Skinny Kenny going to get your moderatorship. Yeah. So that's his. I think Jaron Ennis' best bet is to just get higher. He's high in three of the 4 bank sanctioning bodies. If he gets inside the top 3, top 2 in the sanctioning body, then they'll be able to mandate that he fight somebody. General Squirrel said, Jen Samuel said, Ennis is 21-0, Thurman is 29-1. Yeah, but there's a little more to Keith Thurman's, including several championship fights and wins over top guys. But Jaron Ennis is definitely ready to go with 27 fights. Definitely ready to go. He said, yeah, shoot. Said, yeah, damn, Ennis got more fights than Beterbiev, and he's a champ. Yeah, he's got a lot of fights, dude. He's got a lot of fights to be such a young dude. Skinny Kenny said it won't be too long for Ennis. Late 22, early 23. Ennis and Ortiz start to get title shots. I believe Jamal James gets first title defense, and then Boots gets James for the WBA regular. That is definitely seems like that's a path for him to get a belt. I'm not interested really though in that WBA regular. I'm more interested in the WBA super and the WBC. What kind of belt should you be interested in the WBC? I'm very, very interested to know that, because I don't see anything that I should be interested in with the WBC, especially since they have that franchise championship, which really messes up the belts because you don't know who the champion is, man. And that's one of the problems that they got, like with Devin Haney. Devin Haney does not get the respect that he deserves oh, man. You're going to put me in a spot here, huh? Oh, shout out to my man Semper Fi from the U.S. Marine Corps. Shout out to you, man. He said, Fannon, Ennis versus Spence, Fantasy Fight 2022. Who do you got? I'll go with Spence until proven otherwise. But it's not easy. You made it hard on me, because I would say in 2022, 51-49 Spence. Those are a bunch of tough fights, man. There's a lot of really tough, good fights going on at 147 pounds, man. Maurice Daniels said, Devin the real boogeyman. He has Tank's number. They said that they're never going to fight because they're two different weight classes. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm going to tell you, Devin Haney looks like a very, very good fighter, man. Very good fighter that's caught in a very Semper Army speak. Fi. Sorry, I said fee. Sorry about that. Semper Hey, I messed it up, okay? And you laughing, it's fi. It's It's not spelled phi. Phi is phi is phi. So what the way that you pronounce it and the way that it's spelled are two different things. Because you want to say Semper Fi, it's SEMPERPHI. PHI is phi. FI is not phi. Semper Fi. Anyway, thank you. Also, it's Marines, not Army. Definitely know that it's the Marines. We're talking about Greeks. We are talking about Greek letters. But that's Latin. That's what throws me off. It's Latin. It's Latin. So, yeah, okay. But anyway, I've been corrected. I did Greek. I pronounced it Greek, and it's Latin. Sup, Phi 100. What's going on? Yeah, see, Phi, the way that I'm used to Phi, that's Greek. That's Latin. So that's my bad. No disrespect at all, please, to the Marines out there. Said, you're probably right. Sempra, file ways truthful. The motto of the U.S. Marine Corps. Tell him, Fannon. Yes, and much respect out there, man. Baltimore Murderland. Hey, by the way, can we got 117 likes, 200 people in the building? Can we get the likes up? Come on, it does help with the algorithms. It'd be greatly appreciated. How does Haney have Tank's number? I didn't say he did. Is you crazy? Haney ain't never been hit how Tank hit. Devin hit a lot harder than Devin don't hit harder than Barrios, and Tank 8 flush shots from Barrios would have knocked Haney out. Yeah, I don't know though. I think you're making a lot of assumptions in there, man. I think you guys are making a lot of assumptions in that. That fight would have to play out, and you just never know how it would work. Gary Samuels in the building, man. Much love for saying that. Thomas Watson said, Noop's in the building. What's good? Yes, sir. Noop's in the building. And I know you say I look a little tired. I'm not quite as pretty as I usually am, you know. It is what it is, though. Oh, not you, Fannon. That's what's up. I know. I was just reading it because I thought that it was something as an interesting comment, man. Baltimore Murderland said them guys at 135 other than Teofimo don't hit hard enough to hurt Tank. Hey, I'll tell you who the fight that I think is probably a little too much for Tank is Lomachenko. Lomachenko really impressed me in that last fight that he had, man. That dude was going to town on Nakatani. He was with, or maybe Nakatani ain't as good as Nakatani as I thought Nakatani was. But he was actually putting that up on Nakatani. Man, we got a bunch of really good conversations going on in the comment section. Include with me, man. Hit me up with some questions. George St. Harris said, much appreciated. Thanks for the insight, man. That's my pleasure. I can't remember the question. Oh, you just asked me that difficult question about whether or not about Spence and Ennis. Boy, let me tell you something though, for real about Jaron Ennis. Jaron Ennis is what, like 23 years old? He's very, very young, man. He's very young, and as far as the people that are in his group, I don't see anybody being like anything like him. Like Jaron Ennis is like 7 years younger. I think Jaron Ennis is like 7 years younger than Errol Spence Jr. So it's like Jaron Ennis has a lot of time, man. Gun-toting Democrat, do I believe Tank will fight Thurman? No, I do not. I think I'll get a fight with Tank around the same day, around the same time Thurman does, man. He doesn't fight people with then his name's not Spanish. If you ask me what if I thought he would fight Virgil Ortiz, then I'd have to be like, okay, give it serious thought. If you said, is he gonna fight Canelo Alvarez, I'd have to give it some thought. Like, even though Canelo's like really same as like the weight divisions is so far away, but I don't care who he is. If he's got an American name, Tank ain't fighting him. Seriously, Tank ain't fighting Teofimo. Maybe Teofimo Lopez, but he is and Garcia. He'd fight Garcia. He'd fight Lopez. He's not fighting Haney. He's not fighting. He may fight, like, if he was big enough to fight at 147, he'd fight Danny Garcia. He's not fighting Sean Porter. He's not fighting Keith Thurman. He's not fighting Errol Spence Jr. He's fighting somebody with a Spanish last name, and that's it. I mean, on the real, that's it. Georgia Peach, do you think Manny and his team should be forced to be in a bubble due to the many breakouts and such a large fight coming up? Oh yeah, you're talking about with him running around in the streets with everybody. You'd think that he would be in a bubble, but apparently not. I think that with COVID on the rise, though, he should probably get his ass in a bubble. I'm sure he's probably vaccinated, even though, despite the fact that he doesn't like needles, I'm sure he's already vaccinated, What's going on, man? Tijan C., what's going on with you? I hope life's going well with you, for you. Baltimore Murderland said, I think Tank can crush Thurman's body personally, but that's a bad fight for Tank. I wouldn't let him take that fight, but he beats welterweights up. See, now that's when I gotta disagree with you. I think he's too small for welterweight. And I think that a good welterweight like Jamal James will beat him. Because Mario Barrios got not I would say he's got a suspect chin, but Mario Barrios wasn't the best fighter at 140 pounds. And I just can't see it, man. I can't see him. I can't see Tank beating Jamal James. The height difference, because Jamal James is what, like 5'10" or something like that. And you're talking about somebody 5'10" and somebody that's 5'5". I see somebody like Jamal James just keeping him on the outside, jabbing him, jabbing, setting up just 1-2s and continually moving and being, and staying away from Gervonta Davis's power. And Gervonta Davis having to jump in to trying to figure out a way to get inside. And then when Jamal James is just there on him, Jamal James can just grab him, lay on the inside. Even though Tank is probably hard to grab, little strong bastard that he is. I just don't see him. I just don't see it like that, Shout out to London, UK. Yeah, unknown. Say, yeah, Davis is too small for 147. Yeah, it's pretty much, man. He's just too little. Crush the legend in the building. Say, y'all thinking too much about Tank in 147. It's not going to happen. Nah, I don't see that, man. Did I see any of the matchroom fights? Yes, I did. I saw the fight with Yaldemir and what is that dude's name? Kind of looked like Opie Taylor, big ass Opie Taylor looking dude. I saw him. And I saw the Conor Benn. Is his name Conor Benn? I saw Conor Benn's fight. I saw a few of those fights in the match on the matchroom card. Yeah, Mario Barrios is 5'10". Yeah, but so is what's his name? What's his name? Jamal James. Let me look it up. But I'm pretty sure Jamal James has got that height too. .6'2". Yeah, so like 6'2" Jamal James, that's kind of tough on him, you know what I mean? I can't tell you whose fight was canceled, I was just sitting back and chilling, watching the boxing match. I wasn't really thinking about too much about even who was fighting. Yeah. Oh, thanks. Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Conor Ben. Yeah, Conor Ben. Yeah, Conor Ben's fight was canceled. Yeah, that was canceled. I didn't get a chance to see. On the other hand, I did not get a chance to see the fights that took place again with on the Fox show. I hung out with my wife for that during that period of time. Yeah, Conor Ben. Why you calling him Ben? Ben. Conor Ben's fight had a COVID outbreak. I thought, yeah, he did. He tested positive for that, man. Yeah, he did. He said, and Tank got all the way in, and Barrios got a good jab for now. Yeah, but it's Mario Barrios, man. That's I don't see him doing it at 147, man. Like, can you imagine Gervonta Tank Davis fighting Errol Spence at 147? I can't see it. I can't see it. Or a Virgil Ortiz. Now maybe I could be wrong, and he's just got he's more able to get inside than I could see, but I just don't think that Mario Barrios at 140 is really a good barometer for how Tank would do against a taller guy at 147, because that's another weight class up. And dude, that cat has got those dudes up there hit very, very heavy. And Gervonta Tank Davis himself said that he was concerned about the power from those big guys. I just don't see him doing it, man. I think what's going to wind up happening is that he's going to move back down to 135 and fight somebody else who's like, let me see. Hold on a second. Let me see. Who's the WBA? I'm going to pull somebody out of the WBA rankings. Man, I knew a guy that always had the rankings memorized. All right, so yeah, they got the champ. So man, there's a lot. So is the WBA, man, you got Chris Colbert at 130? Or no, this is the one. All right, I can't tell the rankings on this. And I don't feel like continuing to go through them rankings like that. Marcy, you seen him get inside on Barrios, man. Mario was good. Everybody said Tank bit off more than he chewed. I didn't. I thought he was going to beat Mario Barrios. Everybody in boxing world said Tank was going to lose. Now, that's exaggeration, my friend. Baltimore, I know the Tank's your man out there in Baltimore, but that's exaggeration. I didn't see. Yeah, first of all, do you see the Spence leaked sparring was set up? You think, that it was set up for Pac? No, I don't think it was, and I don't even know if that was recent sparring tape. I think somebody had some old sparring tape on him and put that tape out there. I've seen that guy in sparring with him before, but I just think that's a way for people to get ratings on their channel. And good deal. It's a popular video, but I don't really take too much, put in too much into that. That guy is a good fighter, and I know that because when I saw him fight, I saw Errol Spence spar before, and that guy was somebody who was in camp for Errol Spence back in the fight with the Sean Porter fight. So, I don't really think too much. I don't even know when that sparring tape was. I think it's just a way for somebody to get views, and that's not a knock on people, because people are in here got video channels and all that to get views. So, definitely not anything. Yeah, Yeah, I'm with you. Baltimore said he crushes heavyweight, he welterweights in sparring, even though you can't go off sparring. But the guy just that beat. Look, the dude is a nice fighter, man. Don't get me wrong. I think I have uh, Gervonta Davis in. I have Gervonta Davis in my top, in my top 6 pound for pound fighters, top 5 pound for pound fighters. In my mind, he's somebody that deserves a whole lot of credit. But it's just when you start talking about moving up, from into weight classes like 147 when you're a 130 pounder, that gets to be a little bit much. But at the same time, Manny Pacquiao was able to do it. So, and I think that the body dimensions from Manny Pacquiao to Gervonta Tank Davis aren't significantly different, but at the same time, I don't know. I've never really trusted. I've never trusted Manny Pacquiao in whether or not Manny Pacquiao is a clean fighter. I don't think Manny Pacquiao fights clean. I could be wrong, and it's never been proved. It's never been proved that he doesn't fight cleanly. But moving up from a 130 pounds all the way up to 147, that's kind of tough. Now I know that Floyd Mayweather did it. He went from 130 to 135 to 140 to 147. But I just don't. I mean, I think that Floyd, if you've seen how much taller Floyd is than and bigger really than he is than Gervonta, I would prefer to see Gervonta stay at 135 pounds and clean up 135 pounds, because I think he can do what he wants to people at 135 pounds. Now, I said that Lomachenko may be difficult for him, but that doesn't mean that I'm saying that Lomachenko, that he can't beat Lomachenko, Man, Air Entertainment, why can't Gary Russell fight Tank Davis? Because of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s because of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and his plan for Gervonta Davis. Like I said earlier in the comments, responding to another comment, I would have one of the reasons that I don't believe the Keith Thurman fight for Gervonta Davis is because his name's not Spanish, and that's what I think that he wants for Gervonta Davis. They're not interested in making the hard fights for Gervonta Davis. They're interested in making big fights, and that's something that Leonard Ellerbe has said. So he's like, and he corrected his own self when he said, "I'm trying to make the best fights," but then he said, "I'm trying to make the biggest fights." So him trying to make the biggest fights with Gervonta Davis means that he wants to mix those audience. He wants to have black Americans in there who would be the main support base for Gervonta Tank Davis, and he wants him fighting the Latino crowd, so you can have both of them in there and get the dollars from both of them. The exact same way that he did it during his career from Oscar De La Hoya on. I mean, if you look at Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s career, let me pull it up for you. Floyd Mayweather you see, he ended his career with Berto and Manny Pacquiao, but before that it was Maidana, Alvarez, Guerrero, Cotto, Ortiz, Marquez, De La Hoya. So pretty much before that, though, before he got big, though, it was Nadeau, Corley, Brussels, Gotti, Sharmba Mitchell, Zab Judah, then Calder's Baltimore. But after he fought Oscar De La Hoya, he had Ricky Hatton, then Marquez, Ortiz, Cotto, Guerrero, Alvarez, and Maidana. And that was pretty much the bulk. And then there was a Cotto fight in there as well. So that is pretty much, the Mayweather mechanism that's the Mayweather program, in my opinion. Beatbox, Floyd beat good black fighters. Yeah, he did. He beat him early on in his career. Without a doubt. He beat him early on in his career. And I'll name the ones that he did. Early in his career, he fought Justin Juco. He fought Emmanuel Augustus, Diego Corrales. Then he fought Corley. He fought Sharmba Mitchell, fought Zab Judah, right? So he did have black fighters on his resume every once in a while, when he was with Top Rank. But then once he got on his own with Oscar De La Hoya, it was Oscar De La Hoya, Ricky Hatton, Marquez. Then he fought Mosley, Ortiz, Cotto, Guerrero, Alvarez, and Maidana. Then he got Pacquiao, and he ended it with Andre Berto, which I think was a good fight for him, the Andre Berto fight. A lot of brothers duck Floyd. How? Nobody was ducking Floyd Mayweather Jr., man. Not when Floyd Mayweather got into that money. People weren't ducking him. At least not how I can see it. Salute OG Fannon. Floyd didn't want to fight a black fighter. Wanted to give a black fighter a payday with Tank, point blank, period. Simply ridiculous in my opinion. No, he doesn't. I mean, let me put it this way. He's not going to get one. If you get one, it's going to be a one-off. It's going to definitely be a one-off. I personally don't see that happening. Beatbox, those money fights, he was money made after Oscar. He deserved whoever he wanted. Nah, man. Why does he deserve? I mean, he deserves. Why would he? Don't you have? Why does he not get held to standards after he beats Oscar De La Hoya? Now he was fighting a hectic schedule before he got to Oscar De La Hoya. But for real, why would I don't get that, Beatbox. You got to explain to me why does he deserve whoever he wants? If you're fighting and you're calling yourself a champion, you should be fighting the best people out there available to fight. Not fighting just picking and choosing. I don't say what he deserves. I'll tell you what he has the ability to do. He had the ability to pick and choose. Once he became the biggest name in boxing, he had the ability to pick and choose. Shorty Pacquiao. That shit is ridiculous. Dog, I had to read that shit just for that name. Why Manny suspect? Because he ain't black or because you don't believe he could be so good? Manny Pac-Man got past his tests again to the what you up, what, get the fuck out of here. First of all, what I got to say is get the fuck out of here, okay? Goodbye, okay? Because you're obviously a troll that has been kicked out before. So what I have to say about that is I never said it was a bad fight for Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao is a fight that most people in the boxing world wanted to see, and Floyd Mayweather Jr. wanted to make. It was Bob Arum and Top Rank that delayed that fight from what I could see. I think Floyd Mayweather Jr. really wanted to make that fight because Floyd Mayweather knew he could beat Manny Pacquiao, and he did. So I never said that there was any problem with Manny Pacquiao, but I think you would say that Manny Pacquiao is a bit of an anomaly. Manny Pacquiao was a fight that generated a lot of interest because people were comparing Floyd Mayweather to Manny Pacquiao for like 5 years. The way they were trying, Manny Pacquiao was the reason that they were trying to juxtapose Floyd Mayweather because Floyd Mayweather was being so dominant. by saying, oh, we've got somebody that's better than him, and that's Manny Pacquiao. So Top Rank was selling Manny Pacquiao on the back of Floyd Mayweather Jr. And Floyd Mayweather Jr. was trying to make the fight, and Bob Arum and Manny Pacquiao, in my belief, coasted that out for about 3-4 years. I can't remember how many years it was now, but at the time it was like it got stretched out a long way. It got stretched out further than this Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford is getting stretched out. What black fighters did he duck after Oscar? Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, Kell Brook. Let me repeat this. Kell Brook, Sean Porter, Kell Brook, Sean Porter, Keith Thurman. Kell Brook, Sean Porter, Keith Thurman. Those are the three fighters, black fighters, that he ducked at that point in time. And I'm pretty sure WBA, WBS, WBA, WBC, and the WBO. And he held all three of those. Let me see something. When did Keith Thurman get his belt? Oh, it was the IBF with Sean Porter. And I'm just going to verify this. It's either Sean Porter or Kell Brook that had that IBF belt at the same time. It was both. It was because he only kept it for one. It was Kell Brook and Sean Porter. Kell Brook and Sean Porter in 2014. Yep, Kell Brook and Sean Porter. Oh, man, much love in that super chat, man. Much love in that super chat. He said, ID said, isn't it true that Mayweather fought more champions than any other boxer in history? Peace. No. It is, and it isn't. First, there are more champions when Floyd Mayweather Jr. No. As a percentage, no. And a true number, yes. But as a percentage, no. Because up until about 1976, which is the vast majority of boxing history, let's just go from 1890, won't even go into the 1700s, but like 1890 to 1973, 1975, most of that time there was only one champion, and then they went to two champions, but the champions held both belts. So people didn't have an opportunity to fight a bunch of champions. They would get the championship and they would fight one champion and then they would be the champion, and that's it. What Floyd Mayweather, and there's not four champions. When Floyd Mayweather Jr. is saying that he's fighting champions, he's talking about people that used to hold belts, not people that have belts currently. So, and they would have belts, they would have had one of the four belts at some other weight class. That's a marketing, in my opinion, that's just nothing but marketing. Because nobody else had an opportunity to do that. You know, unless, like, for example, Muhammad Ali, there was only one heavyweight champion, so he had the ability he beat Sonny Liston, who was the champion, right? So that's one. He got a second one by beating George Foreman, who was a champion, right? Then he got a third one for being able to beat Excuse me. Leon Spinks, that's a third champion. And then he got to beat Bob Foster, who moved up from 175, who was the light heavyweight champion, and move up, and he beat him. But would you count him beating Bob Foster as him beating a world champion? Because he was a world champion in a different weight class, and he didn't hold that belt at the time that he fought. What Floyd Mayweather Jr. is talking about guys like Juan Manuel Marquez. Juan Manuel Marquez was a lightweight champion. Okay, he was a lightweight champion. But he's not fighting you at lightweight, he's fighting you at welterweight. So are you fighting a world champion? No. He's fighting an ex-champion. That's a way to get yourself accolades and try to get people to get excited about statistics that don't mean anything. And I'm not saying they won't mean anything, but for real, it's like when he beat Miguel Cotto. But was Miguel Cotto a champion when he beat him? No. See what I mean? So did he beat more world champions than anybody else? I think that's an unfair comparison against the vast majority of guys that could only fight one guy. Because there was only one guy that had a belt. Now, if like somebody wants to move up, right? They got the WBA, the WBC, the IBF, and the WBO, right? And then of the IBF, well, the IBF they only have one belt, but the WBC has like 3 champions within that same belt. They got the interim champion, they've got the WBC regular champion, they've got the WBC franchise champion. So that gives somebody like they could have 3 champions in the same sanctioning body. So in the total numbers of lightweight champions, if the WBO has 3, the WBO, who has the WBC has 3, the WBA has 3, and that's 6, and then 2 between the other one, that's 8. That's 8 world champions in the same weight class between 4 sanctioning bodies. It's just a big mess, man. One of the biggest messes that there is in boxing, and it keeps getting worse. At least people aren't now trying to ask to make more weight classes. No, that's not for me. Oh, yeah. Hey, man, we got 279 people in the building. Hit the likes. Come on, hit the like, man, for me. Get your boy a like. Keith didn't deserve a shot at Floyd. Neither did Sean. I agree with Kell Brook Ducto. I mean, did Maidana deserve the shot? Let me see. This is a little earlier, but did Victor Ortiz and Robert Guerrero and Marcos Maidana and Andre Berto deserve it? I mean, they fought those guys. Why don't they deserve it? I don't get it. I don't get it. He said, you're right, Fannon, create your own belt. I mean, that's how they do it. I mean, that's like, to me, that's why I say that it's false accolades. You know what I mean? It's false accolades. You're creating something where you can say, like, for example, I'm the one false accolade that I heard said, much love in that super chat, to my man James Hill. Said, good morning, big homie. Just got in the room. What I miss? Hey, man, we just been talking about it. You ain't missed nothing. Same conversation, different day. Ask me a question though, James Hill, and I'll talk and I'll answer it. Was Cotto a champ at 154 when Floyd fought him? No, he was not. He was coming off of a loss. He's coming off a loss to who'd you ask about? Miguel Cotto. I think Miguel Cotto got that 154 title later. But he made Yeah, I think he is. I think you're right. I think you're right. He I think you're right. I think you're right he was. Because he had beaten Mayorga. Yep. Good call on that. Yep. He was. He was one when he fought Mayorga before that. So there you go. So he was a champ. That counts. Look at Fahim's the tour, man. Come on, Fahim. Don't try to come in here with your extensive knowledge of Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s career on me. Yeah, is Teofimo Lopez a real champ? Absolutely, Teofimo Lopez is a real champ. I got him as the real champ at lightweight. He beat Vasily Lomachenko. Vasily Lomachenko was really the lightweight champion. Who do I think Spence fights after Pac? I would probably say Terrence Crawford, hopefully, or Yordenis Ugas. Because Yordenis Ugas is on the undercard. So he might wind up fighting Yordenis Ugas. He said, I can't explain why, but Floyd has major issues with letting other black fighters shine, and he goes out of his way to make sure he does not help them shine. Look, man, Floyd, that is the mark on Floyd Mayweather's career, dude. But Floyd, here's the thing with Floyd, though. I don't think Floyd would never get anywhere if Floyd wasn't an egomaniac. It's his fact that he was an egomaniac that got him where he is. And the fact that he kept just thinking that he deserved stuff and he kept pushing it, and he was successful. So I don't know how you can turn off an egomaniac once they get out of their spotlight. You know what I mean? Because Floyd Mayweather Jr. kept the spotlight on himself. So I don't really have and that's the way. Look, he's doing a really good job of promoting Tank Davis, though. But it's just that I just don't think that we're going to get to see we're not going to get to see a lot of quality fights with Gervonta Davis like that, man. My man said, bit my tongue. Deshaun said, we need one champion per weight class, but the belt organizations don't have any strength with the promoters. We are still waiting on a new WBC Bridgerweight. I am not waiting on that shit. I hope Bridgerweight's gonna die, dog. I mean, seriously, Bridgerweight's not gonna fly, man. That shit is just, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, is what I think of that Bridgerweight, man. What black fighters? Look, Keith and Porter, they had no pull until they all fought each other. Floyd didn't own none of them because no black fighters gave him a shot. Floyd Mayweather came up at a time when there were no black fighters to give him a shot. He wasn't fighting during Sugar Ray Leonard time, but he got his shot, though. He got a shot against Oscar De La Hoya. And he got a shot because a lot of black people were supporting Floyd Mayweather Jr. as a black fighter. So that's where I think people come with the Floyd. Black boxers are part of the black community. That's just, Keith Thurman is part of the black community. Sean Porter is part of the black community. Errol Spence Jr. is part of the black community. So Floyd Mayweather Jr. became Floyd Mayweather Jr. because of the black community. And for him not to give back to the black community and set up other fighters so that we can see exciting black fighters in the welterweight division, a lot of people took that shit as selfish. You know what I mean? And then Floyd started saying stuff about, something. He doesn't see color. He says, he doesn't see black or white. He sees green. I don't know if he said that, but something along those lines was associated with him. Rashawn Pittman, do you think, in your opinion, Floyd is the greatest of all time? Hell no. First of all, I don't have really the ability to even say it. Like, I think he's one of the best fighters that I've seen fight. And when I'm saying that I think he was one of the best fighters that I've ever seen fight, I'm talking about when he was at 130 pounds, when he maybe up until he was like in 140 pounds, before he started getting in there against guys that were too big and all of his fights started going the distance. I think a lightweight, 130-pound, a lightweight Floyd Mayweather is probably the best 130-pound fighter that I've ever seen. Personally, that I've ever seen. I can't say that he's the greatest of all time because I don't really have an extensive knowledge of the fighters that were fighting in the 20s, fighting in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. You know, that's a long time, and that's a lot of fighters to be saying that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is the best of all time. And 99% of the people that say Floyd Mayweather is the best of all time do not know who the best fighters are in the 1920s and the 1930s. And these were times when boxing was very, very popular and people were boxing all over the country. You know, there's a lot more boxers. There are a lot more boxers in the 1950s than there are today. So I can't say that. I think the most realistic thing that I can say is I think Floyd is probably the best fighter since the year 2000. He's the best fighter of this century. I can say that much. And I think that he's the best fighter of this century. But of all time, that's just, I mean, seriously, that's disrespectful to cats who, like, I've never seen. Like, I never saw Stanley Ketchel. You know what I mean? I've seen tapes of Stanley Ketchel, but Stanley Ketchel's a great fighter. Jack Johnson is a great fighter. Joe Gans is a great fighter. Henry Armstrong is a great fighter. Sugar Ray Robinson is a great fighter. You know? And I don't know what Floyd would do if he got matched up with guys that knew how to fight like that. Because pretty much everybody said that the old school fighters are better than the fighters now. You know? Yeah, Jack Johnson, you know, I was just trying to go for like all weight classes, you know? So, no, and then there's the greatest fighter of all time, for me, should probably be a heavyweight. Because you got to be able to beat, in order to say that you're the greatest ever, you should be able to say that you can beat anybody. You know? You can beat anybody. And I don't know if a dude 130 pounds can ever make that claim, saying that he could beat these guys that are heavyweights. You know what I'm saying? To be the greatest fighter ever. I mean, it's just really, really tough, man. Floyd would be if Floyd would fail in 19. Nah, I don't see. Here's the thing, too. I don't think Floyd would fail in 1900s. He would just have to be fighting. He would be fighting under different conditions. And he's an extremely talented fighter, but he would be fighting in different conditions. He definitely wouldn't be able to pick and choose who he fought in the 1930s, in the 1900s. In the 1900s, he's going to have to fight whoever it is that they put him in there with, and he may have to be fighting guys that are a lot bigger than him. So it's really tough. You obviously have never visited Scrapbook Boxing. You should. Just saying. You're not talking to me, because you know I got Scrapbook Boxing is one of the channels that's featured on my channel, and that's why on the real, I really can't do things like that. I can't say that this guy's better, because when I'm listening to Scrapbook Boxing, I'm always learning about boxers that I never heard of before, you know, that had very good careers, you know. Oh, he would definitely not be undefeated, because he'd have to have 100 fights. He had 50 fights. Like, he's undefeated in 50 fights. That's 50 fights. Let me see something. Who would be Okay, so Willie Pep. Willie the Wisp. 229-11. He's 229-11. How do I compare a guy that is 50-0 with 2 rematches in his career and a guy that's 229-11? There's plenty of evidence, man. There's plenty of evidence. People know who these guys fought, man. But how can I compare him to a guy that's 229-11? He lost 11 times because he fought 229 times. Are there 229 fighters for Floyd Mayweather to beat today? Nah, I know that he probably fought the same guy in different situations 6-7 times to get to 229 fights, but still, that's a lot of fighters. What evidence do y'all have that Floyd would lose? Of course, no evidence except for you really think common sense tells you that if he has to fight like those guys had to fight, all right, let me put it this way. There is no proof that he would lose. However, when a guy fights 229 fights and only loses 11, there's no proof that he'll lose 50. Where's your proof that Willie Pep will lose today? Arthur Wood. I'll wait. Where's the proof? Because it goes both ways. Where's the proof that Willie Pep would lose today? Where's the proof that Sugar Ray Robinson would lose today? You know what I'm saying? Exactly. To get to 100-0, Robinson got to 100-0. What's the proof that Floyd Mayweather Jr. would get to 100-0? Arthur Wood, skill-wise, I've never seen someone as smart and skilled as Floyd. Have you ever seen Sugar Ray Robinson? There's Arthur Woods. Where's the proof? There's no amateurs back then. Arthur Wood, no amateurs. No amateurs. And people threw fights. If he lost to somebody in 8-4, what was his record when he lost to the guy that is 8-4? Or how old was he? Because he's at 229 fights, right? How many times, how badly beaten up was he by 229 when he got to 229 fights? Willie Pep can fight his ass off, okay? Willie Pep can fight his... Go watch Willie Pep fight and tell me you think that is somebody that people today is just going to beat willy-nilly. You know? Angela Wise Fool says, Mayweather is awesome. Much respect for his spectacular career, but he could never be the greatest of all time. I only know that because of the history and scrapbook. I mean, dude, no joke. If you want to pay attention to scrapbook boxing, there's almost no way that you can think that these guys that claiming that because you're 50-0 right now means that somehow that you're the greatest fighter of all time. That's just a marketing thing. Now Muhammad Ali, I think, was closer, a little bit closer because Muhammad Ali literally fought everybody. Like, you can't even find anybody in his time frame that was considered a decent heavyweight that Muhammad Ali didn't fight. You can't find, and I'm talking about even a young one. Like, guys young, like he fought Larry Holmes, fought Leon Spinks coming out of the Olympics. I love those older guys, especially Sugar Ray Robinson. But let's be honest, it was a lot of the bum of the month fights those dudes had to contribute to those records. There's a lot of bum of the month fights now. These guys are bums. Like, dude, Floyd has bums. He fought Victor Ortiz. What is Victor Ortiz? What is Victor Ortiz? What is Robert the Ghost Guerrero? Seriously, compared to these older fighters who when these guys have 30, these other guys that they're fighting have 50, 60, 70 fights. They're better fighters. They had better amateur pedigrees. They were champions of what? There's a million fucking championships. Look, just because, you know what we need to do? Go back and give everybody that Sugar Ray Leonard fought. So what if they had belts? What the fuck do the belts mean? What do the belts mean? The belts don't mean anything. The belts don't make you a better fighter. The belts just give you something to sell. That's what the belts are for. The belts are to sell the idea that you're a better fighter because you're a quote-unquote champion. Look, Floyd Mayweather Jr. has not shown me that he is better than 200 years of pride fight, than every fighter that fought over the last 200 years. That shit, you cannot get. Prove it. He doesn't have enough fights. You can't compare him. He's only got 50 fights. Seriously, he only has 50 fights. What happens if he would have, during a fight where he breaks his hand in the ring? Right? When you get, it's just silly. It's just, I mean, seriously. That is a lot of fighters to say he's better than. And it's an insult. But you know what I always point people to? I point you guys to this, and I'm telling you this is going to be the case. As soon as Canelo Alvarez, wait till they start trying to say that, well, Canelo Alvarez lost to Floyd. Wait till somebody like Jaron Ennis starts. Jaron Ennis goes 55-0. And Jaron Ennis is beaten up and knocked out everybody that he's fought, and he starts saying, I'm the greatest of all time. I'm the greatest of all time. All of a sudden, these arguments are going to start making sense to you. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is only being called, when Floyd Mayweather Jr. is called the greatest fighter ever after being retired for 20 years, then start talking to me. Because right now, he just got retired 5 years ago. Wait till 2 or 3 other sets of fighters have come through, and then you'll start seeing how disrespectful it is to call when people start saying, oh, he's way better than Floyd. Look at all the guys that he fought. He's smarter than Floyd. And you'll be like, how many Floyd Mayweather Jr. fights have you actually seen? You know? And you'll be like, well, I don't know. Maybe, I've seen the highlights, and look, he's got brittle hands. You remember that shit when that happens. Are you joking? Are you joking? The man tried to kiss Floyd Mayweather Jr. in the ring and got knocked out trying to kiss him. Victor Ortiz tried to kiss that man in the ring, tried to hug him, and blow him a kiss, and got knocked out. That is a journeyman. And Victor Ortiz had a war with Andre Berto, and Floyd fought both those guys in that war. Both Victor Ortiz and Andre Berto. Andre Berto used to knock out people too. But stop acting like Andre Berto is some big win. Like, you know what I'm saying? Come on. Anyway, Floyd Mayweather Jr. is a very good fighter, but I can't do that one. Fannon, when the media makes a fighter us against them, Floyd never let us down. No, because of course he's a great fighter. Floyd is a great fighter, and he was the best fighter in the world at the time. Absolutely 100%. Floyd Mayweather Jr. was the number one fighter in the world at the time. I got no problem whatsoever saying that he was. And I enjoyed, and I was a fan of Floyd Mayweather Jr. Floyd's entire career. Loved Floyd Mayweather his entire career. But after his career is over, I still got to tell you like it is. Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s career is cut in two parts. One is the Money Mayweather, and the other one is Pretty Boy Floyd. Pretty Boy Floyd was a beast. They got put in a bunch of tough matchups and dominated people in them tough matchups. Pretty Boy Money Mayweather was out there not dodging your... Hey, man, I can't see some of the questions they come through. Yeah, I get you. Donald the now 66-year-old G. Grant. Salute to you for 9 to dime, man. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate you, man. Everybody, man, you got a little resemblance to Eddie Murphy a little bit in that picture. Faint resemblance, but it is what it is. What's the question, man? I'm asking people's questions. Fahan, Ali let us down when he lost to Frazier. How can he lose us? Man, get out of here. Man, get out of here. He didn't lose nothing. He didn't let nobody down. How's he going to lose? How's he going to let us down losing to one of us? Making all that money. He made a lot of money. Ain't that what matters? He made a lot of money. He lost one, but he made it up with George Foreman. And and how many black fighters did he make money for? They said, no Ali slander. Exactly. Hey, come, Musa Hamka, excuse me. Let me go back to Musa Hamka. Musa Hamka. Oh, Fannon, why is Manny being sued? Oh, Manny's being sued for breach of contract because he has a management company called Paradigm Sports. Or Paradigms, yes, I think it's Paradigm Sports. And Paradigm Sports was negotiating a fight between Manny Pacquiao and Mikey Garcia to go overseas, to go to the Middle East. And in the midst of them negotiating the fight, Manny Pacquiao announced that he was fighting Errol Spence Jr. So Manny Pacquiao is now being sued, and they're asking a court to enjoin or stop Manny Pacquiao from fighting Errol Spence Jr. I don't think that it's gonna occur, because the defense to it is that there's a clause in their contract that said that they can work with pre-existing business partners or something like that. And since he was already negotiating and working with the PBC on other fights, that they don't believe that prevents him, that's a violation of the Paradigm Sports agreement. And he was also saying that they kept sending him offers with the number kept going further and further down. But he did take a $3 million, supposed to have taken a $3 million, now if you want to call that a bonus, but a $3 million payment in preparation for those fights being made. So that's it. Got you? And I read this. Fannon, you rant too much. Answer me. I got that answer for you. It is right there. Fannon, do you think Pac has a case for greatest fighter if he beats Spence despite his loss to Floyd? No, I do not, because he already lost to Floyd. That's nothing gonna. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is a better fighter than Manny Pacquiao. And on top of it, Manny Pacquiao already got knocked out cold by Juan Manuel Marquez. I think he got a draw to Juan Manuel Marquez. You know, in the first round, he got knocked down 3 times by Juan Manuel Marquez. So, and then he got two gift decisions against Juan Manuel Marquez, and then he wound up getting knocked out by Juan Manuel Marquez. And he lost to Jeff Horn, and he lost to Eric Morales, and he got knocked out 2 times early in his career. So I'm not getting it. Hey man, sorry to see you go. Sorry I'm leaving, bro. I can't chat get one question answered for 10 minutes. Dude, I'm reading everybody's thing, Musa. Sorry, man. I'm reading like comment after comment by a lot of different people. I don't know what you want me to do, man. I can't read every question that every person asks. It moves. Santos said, Fannon, 1, would the breach also be directed at Mikey as well as Pac? No, because Mikey wanted to make the fight. And Mikey was not is not signed by Paradigm Sports. So he didn't have any, Mikey didn't have any duty to them. 2, I assume there is a termination clause if the fighter has to withdraw. I don't know. And a termination clause is usually, based on something, but if somebody pays some money in consideration of you doing something, then the question is, what do you owe them in exchange for that $3 million? And 3, wouldn't the money be advanced return? I guess that would be the damages if they say, well, return your advance if you didn't fail it. If you didn't, that would be one of the remedies that could be proffered. That's how I see. Why y'all praising dude who got knocked out multiple times? Winning doesn't matter, I guess. It does matter. The dude got knocked out, but that doesn't mean he's not a great fighter. There's that whole, Arthur Wood, think about this. If you play spades and you're a really great spades player, don't you lose on occasion? The greatest poker players in the world sometimes lose all the money on the table, right? Everywhere else you can find there's some imperfection. Trying to hold boxers to accountable to never losing, I think it's just, if you never lost, you didn't challenge yourself hard enough. You know what I mean? Either you got out really quick, you got out early and quick, or you never fought anybody, or you just didn't fight enough times. I promise you, Floyd Mayweather Jr. could have been put in a situation where he would have lost the fight. No doubt about it. Floyd Mayweather couldn't just go up to 160 and fight Golovkin, right? What would have happened if Floyd Mayweather Jr. needed the money? Ham could come. Dude, I seriously, man, really, I appreciate you, but you're telling me that I gotta answer every question that you have, and I can't get to every question that everybody has, man. It's not possible. I've got 300 people in the building, and people's comments come by and come by and come by. It's the best. I'm doing the best I can do to get to you, brother. Seriously. Terry said Carl Lewis lost in the 100 million, lost in 100 million and a long jump. Yeah, he lost one long jump. That's what I'm saying. You realize how many losses Carl Lewis has in a long jump for his whole professional career? Is 1. One loss, and the guy had to break the world record in order to get him to do it. It's crazy. Yeah, it's just come on, man. I've answered the question as many times as I can do it. But look, I'm about to get up out of here. He did a big super chat, man. I don't mind. He comes through with the super chats. That's why I try to make sure I always get his answers. But he's a good dude. I appreciate your support, my man. But look, I'm going to get up out of here. Much love to the chat. Much love to everybody in the super chat. And with that, I'm out. Peace.